Somewhere beyond the edge of our solar system, farther than any human hands have ever reached, Voyager 2 drifts silently through the interstellar void. For decades, it has moved without fanfare, sending back data in pulses and signals. But now, after nearly half a century, it has sent something different. Not a typical reading, not an echo of plasma or magnetism, an image. A final image. And what it reveals isn't just unusual. It's deliberate. Structured. Impossible. What Voyager 2 captured defies the chaos we expect from the universe. Within the randomness of deep space, it recorded a form, geometric, ordered, almost surgical in its precision. The kind of pattern nature doesn't typically produce on this scale. At first glance, it seemed like a glitch. But multiple instruments confirmed it across different wavelengths. This wasn't an artifact of aging hardware. It was real. And it wasn't moving away from Voyager. It was staying with it, watching, maybe even following. Voyager 2 wasn't supposed to be capable of this. Its imaging systems were degraded. Its power systems, ancient by today's standards, should barely function. And yet, with plutonium powering its final breath, it managed to deliver something so strange, so unsettling, that it shook the scientific community into silence. Engineers ran diagnostics. They expected to find camera faults or interference from space dust. Instead, they found consistency. Multiple readings. Multiple confirmations. Across infrared, radio, even decaying visual sensors. The anomaly remained. A lattice. A shape that obeyed mathematical laws far too precise to be natural. Fibonacci sequences. Prime number intervals. Symmetrical formations that spanned kilometers. It was like discovering a cathedral floating in the black, built not by hands, but by logic itself. Then came the strangest part. When Voyager's instruments actively scanned the anomaly, it changed. Not erratically, but slightly. As if responding. As if aware. The behavior mirrored something scientists usually only observe at the quantum level, particles behaving differently when watched. Except this wasn't subatomic. This was vast. And that meant one of two things: it was artificial, or it was alive. This forces a new kind of question. What is the edge of our solar system, really? We once assumed it was a boundary of charged particles and solar wind, a fading echo of our sun's reach. But maybe it's more than that. Maybe it's a transition point. A zone where our physical models begin to fail. Where classical laws give way to quantum effects. A cosmic borderland between what we know and what we were never meant to see. The structure Voyager captured doesn't match any known class of matter. It reflects nothing, but absorbs certain frequencies. It emits no visible light, but scrambles local magnetic fields. Some believe it isn't even part of our dimension. It could be a higher dimensional object, casting only a small part of itself into our space, a projection, a shadow from another reality. And then came the real revelation. When Voyager's final data bursts were parsed using a new quantum AI system, technology that didn't exist when the spacecraft launched, researchers found patterns buried deep in the anomaly's signals. Mathematical sequences. Prime numbers. Golden ratios. Patterns that mirrored those encoded on Voyager's own golden record, the message we sent into space nearly 50 years ago in the hope someone, or something, might understand. What the AI found wasn't just similarity. It was a reflection. A response in the same language we used. A reply built out of mathematics, delivered not in voice or image, but in geometry and frequency. It was as if something had been listening, waiting not for the probe itself, but for us to become advanced enough to detect the answer. And now, just as our technology has reached that threshold, the response has come through. Inside NASA, reactions were immediate and tense. Public announcements downplayed the findings. Officials used vague phrases like, unexpected data artifacts. But behind closed doors, the mood was different. Private communications were encrypted. Data streams rerouted to classified research labs. Internal leaks revealed hushed emergency meetings and strict non-disclosure protocols. One insider compared it to a Cold War alert, not because we were under attack, but because something had made contact. Not with radio waves. Not with landings or lights in the sky. But with intelligence. With precision. With math. Voyager 2 may have stumbled into something not just older than our technology, but older than our understanding of space itself. We once believed the universe was silent. Cold. Indifferent. But what if it's not? What if it's been waiting for us to reach out in the one language it understands, structure, logic, pattern, and now, finally, it has responded? What Voyager 2 has found may not be a threat. It may not even be a being. It might be a construct. A boundary marker. A message carved into spacetime itself. A signal that we've reached the threshold where observation becomes participation. Where science meets something older. Not mythology. Somewhere far beyond the outer planets, Voyager 2 continues its silent journey through the vast emptiness of interstellar space. For decades, it drifted beyond the reach of our solar winds, its instruments slowly fading with time. But recently, the spacecraft did something no one expected. It sent back a final transmission. Not just data. Not just noise. It sent back an image. A single frame that should have been impossible. What that image revealed wasn't a star or dust or a comet's tail. It was a shape. Geometric. Deliberate. Ordered. Something that seemed carved from the laws of mathematics rather than the chaos of nature. Scientists initially dismissed it as noise, a glitch from failing instruments. But cross-referencing data from multiple systems revealed the same pattern. And when run through a quantum-enhanced pattern recognition AI, the details became unmistakable. A structure. Perfectly symmetrical. With ratios that echoed the Fibonacci sequence and prime numbers. Not just beautiful, intentional. The implications went far beyond astrophysics. As the data trickled through unofficial channels, the scientific world began to fracture. Some argued for natural causes, gravitational lensing, strange gas formations, interstellar magnetic interference. But others, physicists, cryptographers, AI developers, started noticing something far more unsettling. The structure wasn't just symmetrical. It was reactive. As Voyager's sensors scanned it more closely, it began to change. Not randomly, but subtly. Predictably. As if it was aware of being observed. Behind closed doors, research teams attempted to decode what they were seeing. Some documents appeared on preprint servers for a few hours, then vanished. Theories surfaced in backchannels. That what Voyager had discovered was not matter, but information. That the region it had entered wasn't simply interstellar space, but a zone where the fabric of space itself could be manipulated. Where data could take form. Where symbols could become structure. One physicist described the image not as an object, but as a message. A glyph. A symbol written in geometry, meant to be seen. And then came the question no one wanted to ask out loud. What if this wasn't a reply? What if it was an invitation? As researchers dug deeper, they found more anomalies. Voyager's magnetometers, long past their expected lifespan, began detecting pulses in the local magnetic field. Not noise. Not turbulence. But rhythm. Timed intervals. Regular, like a heartbeat. The intervals, once again, followed Fibonacci sequences, the same numbers seen in the visual structure. This wasn't just a coincidence. It was a signal. One not sent in words or light, but in pattern. In rhythm. In math. For decades, we've searched for life by scanning radio waves and analyzing exoplanet atmospheres. But maybe that was too simple. Maybe the real signs of intelligence aren't loud or obvious. Maybe they're hidden in the fabric of reality itself, waiting for a mind capable of noticing. The more the image was studied, the more unsettling the interpretations became. Some theorized that what Voyager saw wasn't an object at all, but a spatial distortion. A mirror. Not metaphorically, but literally. A responsive surface in space that became visible only when observed. A mechanism triggered by attention. A watching presence waiting in stillness until one of our machines finally looked too deeply. Perhaps it wasn't a contact point. Perhaps it was a boundary. A veil. A threshold never meant to be crossed. But now, as Voyager glides silently into darkness, it leaves behind more than an image. It leaves behind a question that won't go away. Have we awakened something? Within NASA and other agencies, the response was swift. Data streams were rerouted to private facilities. Encryption increased. Internal discussions were locked down. Public statements were kept vague, technical anomalies, they said. But off the record, insiders described the mood as cold, urgent, and quiet. Not panic. Something worse. Understanding. For nearly half a century, Voyager carried humanity's hopes into the unknown. A disk of gold etched with greetings, music, and maps, a naive offering to the cosmos. We thought we were sending a message. But perhaps that wasn't all we did. Perhaps we rang a bell in the dark. And now, the echo is coming back. The image Voyager sent is not just a picture. It is a crack. A subtle fracture in our perception of space, of reality. It's a mathematical echo of our own logic, returned to us from something far older, far stranger, and possibly far more advanced. It doesn't just resemble intelligence. It mirrors it. It speaks in the only language shared by all thinking beings, pattern. And it suggests one thing we were never ready to admit. We were never alone. Not in this galaxy. Not in this universe. Maybe not even in this dimension. Voyager's final act may not be the end of a mission. It may be the start of a conversation.